Christmas in Australia, as you know, is all about barbecues, hot days, cool pools and dips in the ocean. But Christmas here in Europe has a magic all of its own, where all the little towns are turned into winter wonderlands, complete with mulled wine, festive food, snowy Christmas markets, lights as far as the eye can see, and ice skating rinks.
From our starting point in Amsterdam, we're heading off on a magical winter adventure with Scenic. We'll cruise down the Rhine through Germany, onto the main river to Austria, but first things first, exploring the much-loved capital of the Netherlands.
Hello, Australia!
Welcome to Amsterdam!
Amsterdam is a city that charms all year round, and winter is no exception.
We're going to hold hands.
Right.
You're my new best friend, Muriel!
Absolutely.
Once the weather cools, ice skating rinks of all sizes pop up all over the city. One of the largest is Ice Amsterdam at Museum Square, entertaining locals and tourists for the 4 months of winter.
When the winters are cold enough for the canals to freeze, do people skate along the canals in Amsterdam?
Absolutely. On the canals, passing the houseboats, on the lake area, everything is frozen.
What a nice way to get to work. Albeit slightly bruised.
Yeah.
After beginning our scenic winter cruise with a couple of days in Amsterdam, we've now set off down the Rhine. First stop is the 2,000-year-old city of Cologne in Germany's west.
Here in Cologne, they take Christmas very seriously, and being German, everything is meticulously organised, even the markets. There are around 10 of them, and each market has its own theme. So there's the angel market, the nautical market, the gay and lesbian market. There's so much Christmas cheer and so many Christmas lights that it culminates in a city that literally glows.
The Cathedral Christmas Markets isn't the largest or the oldest, but it does boast the most impressive setting.
After you.
Thank you.
It gets dark in Europe around 4 o'clock in winter, but with all these markets around, that's when the magic really begins.
This market's got such a magical fairy tale feel to it. Is that why it's called the Angels Market?
Yes, look at all the stars on top of the trees. It even smells divine. Huh?
I can smell crepes and I can smell waffles and chestnuts roasting.
After dark, the Angel Market is simply stunning to stroll around. From Cologne, we're back on our scenic spaceship, taking in all of this glorious scenery from whichever vantage point we choose.
This stretch of the river is a highlight of the already magnificent Rhine Gorge. It's the Lorelei, the narrowest and deepest part of the river, and the legend is that the beautiful Lorelei would sit up on the rocks and sing for the sailors and distract them, and they would crash their ships into the rocks below. That, however, will not happen on my watch.
Our next stop is Rudesheim, a town known for its wine, its history, and of course, its beauty. It's also the hometown of one of Scenic's most loved guides, Wernie Beyer.
The sun is just starting to set.
What a beautiful day.
Yeah, it's early. It's not even 4 o'clock yet.
5:30 showtime.
It's such a beautiful part of the Rhine Gorge.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
And the vines here, they're growing Riesling.
On this side of the Rhine, we definitely have the Riesling grape. It's at 95%. It's a classical wine, one of the best wines we can offer in Germany. From here, we can see 4 different wine areas, but we are specialized in Riesling.
And as the sun sets, the fun is just beginning back in the centre of town.
Bernie, I've heard a lot about this little street called Drosselgasse. Am I saying it right?
Perfectly. The Drosselgasse, as you can see, is a very narrow street in the old town of Rüdesheim. It's a great place to come together, to get a drink, to eat something, to have a dance maybe in the afternoon, and have a great time.
This little town embraces the Christmas spirit with arms wide open.
And in winter time, of course, the local came with their bread, with their cakes, and they shared all of this, and this was the original beginning of those Christmas market until the 20th century, when the church, the ladies from the church, organized all the first Christmas markets in Rüdesheim.
Cruising through the Rhine Gorge is a highlight of our magnificent Jewels of Europe adventure with Scenic. And in wintertime, you may even be lucky enough to get a little extra something special. We've woken to more than a sprinkling of snow, and we're headed for the enchanting town of Rottenburg, Germany's best preserved walled city.
Do you feel like you're living in a fairy tale, Charles?
You are living in a fairy tale here.
What do you love about Rottenburg?
What do I love about it? It's one of the most beautiful cities in all of Germany.
It is, it really is.
Yeah, one of the very few cities in Germany that's still completely surrounded by a wall.
It's Christmas all year round in Rottenburg, with several Christmas stores, including the legendary Katie Wohlfahrt, with the largest collection of German Christmas decorations in the world, a museum and a 16-foot tree as its centrepiece. The store has become the town's #1 attraction. Roaming the streets of Rottenburg is the only way to soak up the spirit of this much-loved medieval town. Its city walls date back to around the 12th century, and with some of the strictest heritage laws in the country protecting it, it's easy to see why around 3 million tourists a year put this town on their travel itinerary. From here, our scenic spaceship crosses from the Rhine into the main Danube Canal as we continue our journey.
Well, it is winter in Bamberg, and that means damp and misty weather. But that has been a blessing for the city, because during World War II, thick cloud cover hit its main targets from Allied bombers, leaving the city and its beautiful buildings largely intact.
Located in southern Germany, Bamberg is renowned as having one of Europe's best preserved old town areas.
Bamberg seems very different to other German cities.
Yeah, it begins with the river and its two arms, and Bamberg is not only a city that is not dominated only by the two rivers, and that is not only more than 1,000 years old, but Bamberg's inner city is a Baroque treasure chest.
The town of Bamberg itself is a work of art, with its narrow alleys, medieval buildings and quaint street settings. But its focal point is, of course, its Baroque town hall, with its centuries-old frescoes.
This is so beautiful.
It is, in my opinion, the most beautiful town hall there is, and also kind of a symbol of citizen pride, because the citizens build it, they pay for it, and well, it's just beautiful.
Back on board, and today's highlights just keep on rolling.
Food is a highlight on any holiday, and here on the scenic spaceship you are spoilt for choice. Italian fine dining? Well, we don't mind if we do.
Portobello's is just one of 3 restaurants on board, and every guest is invited here for one special evening of their cruise to indulge in 5 courses of fine dining. Continuing south, we are delivered to Regensburg, which was luckily spared any serious destruction during World War II.
Are these cobblestones original?
Yes, they are totally. So Regensburg is one of the very lucky towns which have been kept during World War II. So we had no industries in a very old town, and this is why we still have all those nice buildings here to show.
So you didn't get bombed at all? There was no industry here, so they didn't bother bombing you?
That's it, yeah.
Like all of these little cities at this time of year, there's always a Christmas market or two to be found, but I can promise you the Turn and Taxis market will leave a lasting impression. It's held in the grounds of a centuries-old palace and is known as the romantic Christmas market of Regensburg. And when the sun goes down and the lights begin to glow, it's even more breathtaking. There's traditional craftsmen, handmade decorations and food galore, but I've been told that I can't leave this town without trying the trademark Regensburger.
Are these a local delicacy?
Oh yes, they have a special family's recipe, and they hand it over since 6 generations from one to the next. So
That is too much pressure on one sausage.
it is, and it's one of the oldest fast foods in the world.
Das ist wunderbar. Regensburger gut, meine Deutsch nicht gut.
Welcome back to our scenic Jewels of Europe cruise, where we've just crossed the German border into Austria. Today, we're headed for Salzburg, But the little village of Oberndorf on the outskirts of the city is well worth a look first. Music is the lifeblood of Austria, and especially Salzburg as the birthplace of Mozart and the location of the cult classic, The Sound of Music.
Why do you think the film has been so popular for so long?
Well, I think, The Sound of Music is kind of like a dream. It's kind of a fairy tale, but with real people, because it happened to real people. You very rarely find that you have such fine music, delightful landscape, all together in one film. So I think this is why it is still so famous these days.
Lisa Trickler plays Maria in the new Sound of Music and Salzburg show, an epic 90-minute production performed exclusively for Scenic's guests. For tourists to Salzburg, the Sound of Music locations are the prime attractions, and the starting point is generally right here.
The Mirabel Gardens are really a highlight for people who come here to Salzburg.
Yes.
Can you tell us why?
First of all, it is really beautiful. And second, a lot of the places of the original Sound of Music, what is original from the Sound of Music is really the Mirabel Gardens for the people to see. So I think this is also why people love to come here and to see, they really feel the Sound of Music vibes.
Salzburg's castle, in prime position overlooking the city, has become its trademark, and even on a grey winter's day, it is a sight to behold. After an all-singing, all-dancing day of exploring Salzburg, we're back on our scenic spaceship headed for our next port of call.
Scenic cabins are the bee's knees in river cruising. This is the deluxe balcony suite with space and comfort cleverly worked into the design. And then, of course, there's Scenic's signature full-sized balconies. And if you think that's impressive,
wait till you see the Royal Suite. If you're looking for that once-in-a-lifetime indulgence, then this is the ultimate in luxury. Sprawled out over 300 square feet, it includes a spacious lounge area and a full-sized bathtub. Plenty of room to settle in and watch the glorious world go by.
Vienna is a city of elegance with its outrageously opulent palaces, imperial history and reputation as the home of classical music. They say that if you want to enjoy Vienna, all you have to do is open your eyes.
European cities are often known for their grandeur and dazzling architecture, and that's particularly true here. One of the grandest institutions of them all is the Spanish Riding School in Vienna. The school itself is located within the Hofburg Palace and has become one of Vienna's most visited attractions. As part of our scenic free choice options, I've come here to see the horses train and get a behind-the-scenes tour.
Well, breeding, we call it the oldest cultural race because from the very beginning of their breed, about 400 years ago, we were not only looking at the exterior of the horse, how beautiful they are, how big the gaits are, we were also, and through a big portion, we're looking how trainable are they.
If you're a horse lover, then this tack room would be your idea of equestrian heaven. There's so much care and love and attention that goes into each horse. For example, every saddle is individually tailored to suit the horse, and that's just one factor that makes the show precision perfect.
The show is only performed on weekends, but I'm told it is truly a sight to behold. Welcome back to our winter cruise with Scenic through some of Europe's most magical scenery and to the city of grand palaces, musical prowess, and at this time of the year, Christmas markets galore.
Christmas markets in Vienna have a really long history, dating back to 1296, when the emperor decided they were necessary to ensure that there were enough supplies over the Christmas period. Nowadays, with shops on every corner, they're hardly a necessity, but oh my goodness, they're so much fun!
The main Viennese Christmas market is held in one of the city's oldest squares, with the city's grand town halls in all its Gothic glory as the backdrop.
Sonia, we are right in the heart of Vienna.
Yes, it's the biggest market in Vienna. I think we have about 22, 23 Christmas markets here in Vienna, but this one is the biggest and the most famous one.
There's almost 150 stalls to keep you busy. And when you're done shopping, there's a full entertainment program, which today features a local men's choir. After a couple of days exploring Vienna, we've made our way further down the Danube to Budapest. The Hungarian capital is one of Europe's oldest and most history-laden cities. But while Budapest's buildings are sure to impress in daylight, it's after dark that the real show begins. Scenic offer a night cruise along the Danube, taking in all of its riverside landmarks.
To see this at the night time is just, you can't top it. Look at it, it's an awesome city, it's beautiful. Daytime it was magic, and nighttime it's just mind-blowing.
We've left our scenic spaceship in Budapest and crossed over into the Czech Republic for a little side trip to its capital, Prague.
It's impossible not to be charmed by this beautiful city of Prague. Freed from communism in 1989, Europe inherited a gem and the tourists soon followed. It's at the geographical heart of Europe, and pumping through its veins is centuries of art, history and gobsmacking architecture. Known as the City of 100 Spires, Prague is one of Europe's best preserved cities, prized for its romantic riverside location, historic Old Town Square and Baroque architecture. And at the centre of it all is the magnificent Charles Bridge, a 14th century stone bridge connecting the two sides of the city. Why is the Charles Bridge such an icon of Prague?
Charles Bridge is a great masterpiece of Gothic architecture from 1357. What a surprise, it's not the oldest bridge. We had a stone bridge even before, from 1165. But it wasn't that big and strong as Charles Bridge, so it was washed away after a few years. And then Charles IV, he decided to build a big and strong bridge which survived till now.
It not only survived, it became one of the city's most popular sites. But it seems it's not just us visitors that are in love with Prague. Long before the tourist hordes, it captured the attention of the Nazis.
Did Prague get damaged at all during World War II?
Thanks God, Prague wasn't that much damaged. Some buildings were a little bit damaged or destroyed, but generally Prague wasn't touched much.
So it wasn't damaged because the Nazis fell in love with Prague, didn't they?
Definitely Germans fell in love with Prague, and also during the war they thought they'll stay here forever.
On our list of must-see attractions is Prague Castle, the residence of the country's president and home to the Lobkowicz Palace, the only privately owned building in the castle complex. It also gives an insight into the fascinating 700-year history of the noble Lobkowicz family.
Oh, of course. The aristocrats get the best views. Well, I feel blessed to see this view. You must feel triply blessed to live here.
Honestly, I love it more and more because whenever you have a look on the whole panorama of the city, it's different. It's different. You can find always something new, something modern, something old.
It's twinkling.